A few months ago I was watching Roblox videos with no views, mostly because it's funny how poorly made they are. But after a bit, I found a very weird looking channel. It was called MCI Archive. The description of it read dedicated archive channel. If you or a friend has evidence, contact us at gmail.com. This channel at a first glance looked very weird, so the first place I went to was the community tab, hoping I could get more of an answer to what the description was talking about. I found a total of 3 posts. They all seemed to be documenting evidence of some kind. The first piece of evidence seemed relatively normal at first, being a very old screenshot of 2 players in Flood Escape. The strange thing is that Flood Escape never had a day-night cycle. There was never anything programmed in the game that could have caused this to happen. This theme continues with the next post, being another very old screenshot of natural disaster survival, where it is nighttime. Natural disaster survival also never had a day-night cycle, but there's something else to address. The island is completely gone. It was obvious now that this channel was documenting some strange anomaly. Whether it be an exploiter, glitch, or something paranormal, these events were linked, and they weren't the only cases of this, as the next post would tell me even more. Breakthrough. We have just been sent groundbreaking raw footage that is by far the best evidence we have obtained yet. We are currently putting the file through a verification process to prove legitimacy, and if it is found to be unmodified footage, it will be archived here. And sure enough, at the time I had found it, the channel had uploaded one single video, titled EveBun771 Footage. Hopefully by watching this, I could figure out what was going on with this channel. The video starts off with Eve, the person recording, joining a game, appearing to join another friend, CoolBlue2002. The game they're playing is the Roblox Mall, a relatively well-made tycoon game for the time. The two eventually meet up, and Eve decides to get the burger shop. After messing around for a bit with the buttons, Eve opens a door in the back and gets jump scared by— oh, that's just Blue. The two are fascinated by the conveyors in the back, and proceed to remake the hit music video Here It Goes Again by OK Go. Eve then notices a big button in the back of her shop reading badge, $1,000, and she makes it her goal to get this badge before leaving the game. Okay, so what's going on here? This seems like a normal video of just 2 kids playing Roblox, and for the next 10 minutes, it's just that, but eventually, it happens. As you may have guessed, this game also never had a day-night cycle. However, there's a bit more to this. If you take a very close look at the sky, you'll notice something very uncanny. The moon is ever so slightly moving without the stars. Normally the moon is part of the skybox, so it should be frozen like the stars, but you can see it shifting before Eve walks back inside the mall. But the two are done playing laser tag for the moment, so they won't be dying and respawning back outside of the mall. I guess not. From here, Eve walks back into the kitchen of her burger shop, but stops as something is very wrong. Eve had purchased a grill and a stove, but they were both now completely gone. This again follows the theme from Evidence 2, items slowly disappearing until the game isn't functional. But right now the game is still fine. Eve just has to serve her fries cold. Eve leaves her shop unattended again to check out Blue's area. Blue had gotten the gun shop, but she somehow didn't have guns yet. When Eve comes back this time, she notices through the wall that something else is missing. The badge claim. Blue's cash register also gets deleted at around this time. Coincidentally, something she made fun of Eve for not having earlier in the video. Despite not being able to get the badge anymore, Eve keeps spirits high by getting back at Blue about the cash register, and decides that instead of getting the badge, she'll just get to $1,000. However, this doesn't really work out for Eve as she gets too tempted into buying the other models, and eventually, her whole cash collector is just deleted. She's infuriated, but she still hasn't left the game yet, which is something we haven't seen. Every post in the community tab mentions the players voluntarily disconnecting. They always leave, but Eve and Blue are still in the game. Over time, an unnerving ambient noise has been playing in the background, getting louder and louder the longer the night lasted. This begs the question: what happens if you don't leave? A lot went down in that ending. First of all, the moon had clearly been approaching over time. The ambient getting louder was signaling its arrival. Second of all, right before the video cut off, We heard footsteps, many footsteps. Eve was rapidly approached by a group of something. Lastly, the welcome to the Roblox Mall banner text was edited to read leave. While it's currently unknown what approached Eve or why they wanted the two to leave, there is more to unpack in the description. We learned that Eve herself reached out through email to the people behind this organization, meaning that she is still alive to this day. The description also proposes a theory that the leave text signaled that they want people out of the game when the moon arrives. I can only imagine they refers to what approached Eve. The last bit of the description signals that Blue's account still exists on Roblox. The organization tried contacting her but failed and is asking for the viewer to help. Loading up Blue's profile, there isn't much to see until you look deeper. Blue is wearing a hidden transparent t-shirt with a very weird price of 3 million Robux. But the number isn't just random. Looking closely, these numbers actually spell out a date, 3/11/2013. This could very likely be the day the incident took place on. Going to this t-shirt and reading the description, we see a scramble of letters. This scramble is a YouTube URL ending, and putting it at the end of a YouTube link, we get this video. To address the most important thing, we now finally know what took Eve, but it's unclear if these grey Robloxians are real people, a hack client script, an illusion, or something else entirely. The description of this video reads, "I really didn't think I would ever see them again, even in someone else's recording, but I knew this wasn't an isolated incident. I need to know how the hell Evelyn is still here today. It's exactly like when they took him. I know there are more. I know they took more, and they could still be taking more as I write." This appears to be a rushed note from the person behind this account upon seeing the video. It's unclear whether there are actually multiple people running this account, or if it's just this one person. They mention that it's exactly like when they took him, meaning that they must have had an encounter with this anomaly in the past, and it must have took someone from them. Judging by their reaction to Eve being alive, things must have went differently with their encounter. From here, I formed a running theory on what the account stood for, and if it wasn't obvious, it appears to be abbreviating Moon Cult Investigation. The group of grey Robloxians are likely cultists, and the moon is their deity. At this point, I was more than invested, but despite just uncovering how dangerous this anomaly might be, from here, the channel went silent. There were weeks of inactivity, and during those weeks, I only got more interested and decided to dig deeper myself. I had seen Blue's profile, but I hadn't looked at Eve's yet. Eve had nothing hiding around on her profile like Blue, and her bio just looks like something any other kid would write, talking about her pet bunny. There was something at the bottom though. It looks like she tried to link his social media, but it got tagged. Assuming this bio was wrote when she first made her account, we would have to think what social media she could have been using in 2012. Luckily, the tagged word is 6 letters long, which allows us to narrow it down pretty easily. Instagram is 9 characters long, Facebook is 8, Twitter is 7, but Tumblr perfectly matches how long the tagged word is. Looking up EveBun771 on Tumblr brings us to a blog owned by Eve. There isn't much there, but importantly, she posted a link to a YouTube channel owned by Blue. Going to Blue's channel, I found one video from 2016, approximately 3 years after the incident, and it was called Returning. Finally, another lead. The video starts off with Blue joining Simpson City Tycoon. For the first 3 minutes, she seems to just be playing normally, until once again, it happens. Nighttime was never in this game, and this time it seems that Blue knows that. She immediately jumped on top of the store to get a vantage point and possibly to stay safe in case the cultists tried to come for her. She then began typing. "You're here. What did all of you do to Eve? She had to go home from school that day because she kept crying. Answer up." I was in shock when I first saw these messages. I had assumed at first Eve had just been kicked from the game like Blue, but this is telling a completely different narrative. Eve must have interacted with the cult. but it seems like things must have went bad because she didn't even tell Blue what happened. Blue continues to ask for answers in the chat for another 2 minutes, saying she isn't scared anymore, but then she looks up at the sky and notices the moon has already advanced a decent amount. The thing is, Blue doesn't know what this means. She saw the night, she saw the cultists, but she never got far enough outside to see the moon before the server was shut down. She continues pressing for another minute before she starts asking some real questions. Why are you all still following me? I didn't even come on here to talk to you people. I just wanted to play Roblox again. Why would you even join me if you wanted us to leave the last time? When I read these messages, I thought for a bit, as Blue was proving a good point. The last time the cult manifested, Eve and Blue were told to leave, and the running theory is that the cult deletes the game until it's non-functional so that the players leave. And then it hit me. Nothing in the game had been deleted yet. Blue wasn't meant to leave this time. The moon in the sky was nearing full size, and Blue had just about had enough with not being answered. She finally declared she was going to leave, but then, something she could have never seen coming happened. It was Eve. Blue couldn't believe what she was seeing, but she was then convinced of it pretty fast. Hey Emma, let's play a bit longer. Blue began frantically typing out, Eve, why the hell are you here? You said you wouldn't ever play this. But then she stopped and realized, why would Eve ever log on again? This video was terrifying to say the least. The description reads, I haven't played this game since when Eve and I first saw them, but after this I don't think I'm ever going to again. I talked to Eve and she said it wasn't her in the game. I was honestly surprised that the Moon Cult investigation hadn't found this video yet. The cultists are capable of disguising as other players, and it seems like they can find out your personal information as well. Emma must be Blue's real name. The last thing we can get from this video is that Blue definitely saw too much. Her and Eve weren't meant to stay as long as they did, and the cult came right back to try and take her the second she logged back onto Roblox. This now brings us back to our main character, the person behind the MCI Archive account. They had an encounter with the moon as well. Did they also see too much? Only time will tell, but for now, they finally uploaded a new video, titled Investigation Update. To start off, this video actually has a narrator.
Hello everyone. This video is being brought to you by the head of the Moon Cult investigation.
They go on to talk about how they started making a game with the purpose of tracking down the cult, but if I'm being honest, it really doesn't look like that good of a game. They said it serves its purpose, but I don't know how they expect the cult to join them. They're playing on a burner called Moon Cult Investigator, and judging by the fact that the cult hasn't already showed up in the server that they're in, this account isn't on their radar. However, the most interesting part of the video isn't this game's devlog itself, it's what the narrator said at the end.
The reason I'm uploading this is because in case I, fail, there's a way to get into the back end. One of you people can act as I've intended and track down the cult if they appear. It's a bit of a puzzle. Someone's probably smart enough, but it's only intended for if someone else needs to do this, and I'm alive right now, so there's no need to try it. You'll only be putting yourself at risk.
To first address the elephant in the room, the narrator is literally indirectly telling us they might die. They never outright say it, but the wording is obvious. In case I fail, I'm still alive now. It seems like they didn't want to straight up say it, but they don't want this investigation to go cold if they do die, which brings us to the other thing that needs to be addressed. I initially believed that this was an organization of many people, the Moon Cult investigation. The account often talked using we and us, but if this really was a group of people, why would the narrator need to tell us to finish the job? Couldn't the other people in the organization fill in their place? I was starting to doubt that there really were multiple people behind this investigation. Now, I know that the narrator told us to only try and get into the back end if they died, but I still wanted to see exactly what they had done, and maybe possibly find out any secrets hidden inside of the game. Okay, let's play this game. Okay. Yeah, this game is so awesome. So I can click like this button. Like, wow, I look so cool. Now I can take a screenshot. And I can send this in the members teaser channel. If you buy a channel membership above the basic member tier, you can get exclusive access to behind the scenes footage and sneak peeks and teasers in my Discord server. Okay, now on to finding secrets about this game. Okay, so there's this like platform that is supposedly to like shade this scene, but there's a random piece on top of it. I feel like that has to have some sort of significance. And there's also this piece out here. More rooms coming soon. I don't know if that's actually the wall to the right is fake. Okay, maybe it meant this right. Okay, now I'm out here. Nice. Okay. Oh. Okay. So this is like a thing to it like tells you what everything is made of. Dude, I don't know. I don't know anything about Studio. Yeah, it says everything. So I mean, I guess you could use this to like track down what everything is made out of, like the cultists and like the moon itself. This is a pretty smart idea. I just don't think they're pulling up to this. I need to get up there somehow. I'm assuming there's another thing up there. I have no clue how I'm expected to get up here, but I do know one thing. There's nothing stopping me from doing this. Yippee! Oh, I can't click it or anything. Wait. Oh, okay. There is this. That's awesome. Biography. I love reading. What stood out to me about this part is that instead of showing its properties, it showed a scramble of letters. After a bit of trying things, I realized it was a Google Drive URL ending, and it brought me to a folder named Carter, which turns out to be the name of the person behind this account. Inside of the folder was a picture and a text file. The text file was called What Started It All, and it was a long note from Carter detailing his encounter with the cult. Back in February of 2020, I was playing a game with my closest friend, Ezra. Both of our schools had shut down for 2 weeks because of COVID. I was so happy I was getting to spend as much time with him as I was. We were both in our final year of high school, and finals had been destroying us. We were playing some obby late one night, and we're just talking about how awesome the shutdown was, like how pretty much every other kid at the time was. We didn't blink an eye when the day turned to night. We kept playing as we were both closing in on the end. As the moon drew closer, he finally began to question what was going on. I didn't think much of it. I assumed it was just a part of the game. Then platforms started to get deleted. We started noticing impossible gaps, but decided to just frog jump over them. Eventually we noticed the ambience, and at that point he wanted to leave and go to bed. He always feared the paranormal, and was convinced this happening was not natural at all. I was usually the only one to support him through things like this, but this night I didn't want him to get off, so I told him just to stay until we completed the game. It was for a stupid reason. I wish I had said otherwise. Just a minute later, we jumped off each other for the last time to reach the wind platform. Ezra landed on it, but I barely missed it, and I fell into the void, respawning at the last checkpoint. The final stage of the obby had been completely deleted, and there was no way for me to get to him. I felt embarrassed at that point. I had kept him on all that time just to fail. I didn't want to say what I wanted to say anymore. I began to type out to him, apologizing and telling him we could just go to bed. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw them all fall on top of him. The second they touched him, he vanished. The server shut down. I messaged him in a panic. I kept messaging days, weeks, months after it happened. I never heard from him again. It's been 6 years since he disappeared. The guilt has driven me insane. I want to figure this out. Part of me still hopes that he didn't die or something and is living happily, and this is all some huge hacker scandal. I'm getting fed up with getting nowhere. I'm not going to stop anything for any means anymore. I will figure out what happened. This was deep. The only other thing in the drive is a picture of what Ezra's avatar looked like. Things didn't really start going well for Carter over time. He would go on to make 3 more community posts over the next 2 weeks. The first one was him begging for people to spread word of the investigation and look for evidence, as he had received an unverified tip that the cult might be spreading to other games. The next one was a week later, where he clarified that games at nighttime are not considered evidence. The last one was 4 days after that, and it was captioned, "New evidence being uploaded soon." An image was attached of emails between Carter and Eve, and these emails are kinda weird. You're telling me you talked to them and recorded it all, but the video just cuts off mysteriously. Yes, it just cuts off right there, and that's all I have. I don't know what to tell you. Would you mind downloading and running this for me? It's something that could possibly restore the file assuming it was damaged. I guess. I'll send it to you if it fixes it. Then, at the bottom, there's one more barely cut off email from Eve. Wait, Carter, don't you have the video as well? Why the hell did I download this? I ran it and my PC just keeps freezing at random. What the hell did you send me? Carter claimed that what he attached was a program to fix Eve's video, but I don't think any program like that should make your PC start freezing. What he sent was a zip file, and we really can't know what was in there. The thing is though, I feel like if it was a real program, Eve would have told Carter if it worked or not. What likely happened here is that after Carter learned that there was more to Eve's encounter that she wasn't sending, he sent her a virus to look through her files. Carter is desperate. This is incredibly questionable behavior. He may not have any bad intentions, but this is an outright invasion of privacy. Speaking of invasion of privacy, Carter accidentally leaked his email. It's linked to a Roblox account under the same name, and the Roblox account in question is actually his real old Roblox account. The description on it reads, 6/1/2020. This is my last time logging in here. I've unadded everyone. If this account adds you, don't accept. It's not me. I've left Roblox. You know how to reach me. If you don't, ask my other friends. I can't put it here. I don't want them to find me. I can only assume this confirms Carter saw too much, and that the cult started targeting him as well for it. About a day after this post, Carter uploaded a new video to the channel. I didn't know it at the time, but these 4 minutes were going to be the craziest moments we've seen so far. The video is called Temple of Theia. Starting off, we can see that Carter got the file, as this appears to be a continuation of Eve's perspective at the mall. She's been teleported to a different game, and appears to be in some sort of gray palace. She looks out, and there are 6 gray Robloxians all chatting in front of her. This is the group that brought her here. All of them share the name Moon, so I'm going to refer to them as Moon Men for now. Eve walks over to one of the groups of Moon Men, gets weirded out, and just tries to leave. The problem is that she can't. She then tries asking one what's going on, and instead of answering her questions, it starts saying strange vague things. You will soon meet her. You will be blessed with eternal joy. And lastly, the entire group says, you will be safe in Theia. Eve turns to the right and sees a giant figure idle down the center. She approaches it and it walks up to her. The figure's name is Theia. Unlike the Moon Men, she actually greets Eve. She then explains she isn't going to hurt Eve, but Eve interrupted an important meeting. This proves the theory that the cult wants people out of the game when they arrive. They were meeting there. Eve profusely apologizes and asks to just leave. But the entity suggests she stays, for now is a chance to live a life she's always wanted. Eve rightfully doesn't believe this and says they're all creepy. The entity requests a moment to explain what she means and goes on to tell Eve about the Theia impact. If you don't know what this is, it proposes that a Mars-sized planet named Theia collided with the Earth around 4.5 billion years ago, an event which completely demolished Theia and formed the moon out of it. The entity explains that life flourished on Theia until the collision, which she was the sole survivor of. Incapacitated, she waited an eternity for technology on Earth to progress until it had advanced enough to be used as a vessel. The entity, which I will now refer to as Theia the Survivor, now wants to use this technology to restore greatness to Theia the planet's remains, which is what we call the moon. She promises Eve life will be better than she could imagine, but Eve declines joining and again asks to be let go. She tries leaving the game to no avail, until something is said that makes her completely freeze. If you don't remember, Rosie was the pet bunny Eve mentioned in her bio. This must have been a very recent event. How the survivor knew this happened is beyond me. Eve's opinion doesn't change. She still wants to leave, but the survivor tells her she doesn't have a choice. Any attempt to resist will be futile. Eve starts typing back, but then the video just ends. In the description, we can see that Carter is very clearly going through a lot of emotions after seeing this footage. He's lost with all this new information. He's confused on if this is even what happened to Ezra. He's mad that there still isn't an answer to what went differently with Eve. He says he's not getting an answer from her about it anytime soon, implying that Eve doesn't want to talk with him anymore. This pretty much confirms he did in fact send Eve a virus. At the end of the description, he considers logging back into his old account, which is a dangerous move, but he doesn't care what happens to him anymore. I was lost at first as well, but a few hours later, this video had captions added to it. I rewatched it, and at the end, 2 subtitles appeared. The first one was clearly a Caesar cipher. When I decoded it, it read, "And then the grace of our heaven was stolen from her." The second subtitle was encoded in base 32, and it decoded to an image link. The image was of a news article. It read, "High windstorm downs trees, causing power outages in Omaha." It was published the day after the incident. Eve must have lost power, putting a complete stop to anything that could have happened on her PC. Theia, the survivor, mentioned that technology is her vessel. Without technology, she lost all contact with Eve. This statement also brings us back to these subtitles in the first place, because I doubt they were something added by Carter. I think they found him again. A few days later, the channel started a live stream. It was titled Confrontation. I pulled it up and Carter was playing the investigation game on his main account. He had the debug tool equipped. He was ready to track them down once and for all. He sat around for a minute, and then it happened. Night fell upon the game. Carter instantly looked up at the moon to find its source, but nothing was showing in the hierarchy or properties. All Carter could see was that it was slowly approaching. His plan wasn't working well so far, but then he walked over to the sign at the end of the map. He stood in front of it and asked one simple question in chat. What did you do to him? I assume he expected to communicate through the sign, as they've edited text before, but Carter's question was answered in another way. When I saw this, I instantly thought, they're mimicking Ezra, just like they did Eve. And then I remembered. Carter never saw Blue's video. He doesn't know the Moon Men can imitate others. But Carter checked the tab list, and then the menu, and it looked like it was Ezra's real account. When they mimicked Eve, she didn't show on the player list. Could this really be the real Ezra? Even the body parts show as belonging to him on the debug tool. we can see that Carter is literally shaking through the cursor. He asks if it's really Ezra, and Ezra says it's really him, but he's acting way too calm. Carter points out that the cult is in the game and they need to get out, but Ezra says something unexpected. He's fine with them? Carter doesn't believe Ezra is real anymore, but he still wants to. Ezra referred to him as his username, Skills, so Carter asks Ezra what his real name is. Ezra answers correctly, to which Carter then asks what his birthday is, and Ezra answers correctly again, even adding in a fact that only he would have known. Carter is so shocked that he almost forgets you can't swear in Roblox chat. He starts finally asking questions, like where Ezra was took and where he's been all this time. Ezra answers by saying he was brought to the palace of the survivor and was welcomed. He mentions that they took him in because they knew he was a target of hostile spirits. We know from Carter's drive that Ezra always feared the paranormal. Theia, the survivor, must have used this to manipulate him into joining. When Carter asks if Ezra has been living in a Roblox game, Ezra explains that his soul was digitalized and that he lives in technology, just like Theia explained to Eve. Carter is once again incredibly overwhelmed by all of this information. The moon is drawing closer and closer, and he really just wants to trust Ezra. He asks Ezra to make a promise that if he came with him, they could be together again. Ezra promises, walks up to Carter, and then Carter is took to the palace. However, unlike Eve, Carter is not at the entrance. He spawns in completely trapped in the air, stuck in front of Theia. Ezra is gone. It's just Carter and the reason he's there in the first place. Just like Ezra, Theia remarks how Carter finally returned. Carter isn't having any of this though. He wants to know what happened to Ezra. Theia tells Carter Ezra has returned to their safe haven and begins speaking again, but Carter demands for Ezra to be brought back. Theia ignores this request and continues with her speech, but Carter keeps telling her to bring Ezra back. Theia finally finishes, telling Carter that he will be graciously accepted after paying a price. Carter then loses it and states he's just going to turn off his PC if Ezra isn't brought back. I mean, hey, Theia can't reach him if his computer's powered off. It's a pretty good idea, right? The channel hasn't posted a video since this livestream. It's not known if Carter solved the cipher in his caption and learned how Eve escaped to get this idea, but if he did, he must have overlooked the fact that he can't be the one in control of shutting off the power. Truth be told, we don't know what Carter's fate is. The survivor could have been telling the truth, and could plan to give him eternal life after he pays for his actions. Or she could have much more malicious intentions, and if that's the case, who knows where Carter is now. Either way, the investigation is over. All that's left is the archive. Everything Carter collected and recorded remains there, and there are still so many unanswered questions. Was Eve hiding any other information? Are the Moon Men real people? Was the person Carter talked to really Ezra? And most importantly, was the survivor telling the truth? All of the puzzle pieces have been laid out for us, and one question remains. Are there enough to put it together? I actually have a lot to say for this outro. First off, I now have channel memberships, and if you get the supporter tier or above, you'll have access to a full, in-depth, behind-the-scenes video about this video, showing unseen footage, funny stuff that happened while we were recording, and an explanation of how Jay and I made this. Second of all, huge shout out to Jay. Kit's the one who did all of the coding and old Roblox building for this ARG, and she also owns Blue as a character. Third of all, I have a Discord server now. There's a link in the description you can join through. We recently hosted a contest for the server icon, and that's where most of the art you're seeing now came from. Shortly after the release of this video, we're going to be hosting a server banner competition with a $250 prize pool in Robux, so make sure to join if you're interested in that. And lastly, thank you all for watching this video fully to the end. This was something I've been working on for months now, nearly half a year, actually over half a year, and I'm very proud of the story I've created. For the people who came for challenges, don't worry, I'll still be uploading challenge videos, but I have a huge passion for storytelling that I exhibit in all of my videos, and with how inconsistent challenges are, I don't want to make my content entirely focused on them. There will be more challenge videos, and there will be more of these unfiction/ARG videos as well. Thank you so much for supporting me. That's the end. I'm done. I verified the golden. Let's go. Sen? Sen, you want to talk about that one?
No, I'm gonna go on my phone.